Hi folks, Ricky Tang here, and I'm hoping the image stabilization capability of that camera is really up to snuff because I am on a Moto Guzzi V7 Sport today, courtesy of Frasers of Gloucester, and at idle, a tick over, the whole bike's shaking a fair amount. Through this camera, you should be able to see how much that camera's moving. So, very first impressions, it's still very much a traditional kind of riding position for this Guzzi, despite having sport in its name. The first thing I noticed is the low seat height, and I think in the specs it's 780 millimeters, so pretty low, and that means the foot pegs feel high in comparison, although the foot pegs aren't high. It's just that the seat's quite low. The foot pegs are also a fair bit more forward than I was expecting, but it's only like a standard road bike. It's not forward as in a cruiser or a bobber, just not swept back like a sports machine. So it's very much a traditional kind of sit up and beg riding position. Here on the motorway though, I'm not taking that much of a beating from the oncoming wind. Feels quite comfortable here at 60 odd miles an hour. But I can see the wind is up, I can see the trees are moving around, so potentially if I was coming the other way on the motorway I might be seeing it a bit differently. So I'll reserve judgment till towards the end of the ride. Now this V7 Sport has a few unique components compared to the rest of the V7 range. We have upside down forks. Oh yes, I think they're 41mm upside down forks, preload adjustable, and hulking great Brembo radial calipers on the front as well. We'll take a little look at those later on. Not only that, this Sport version comes with a 6-axis IMU as standard, so we've got lean sensitive ABS and traction control. Not that I suspect you'll be relying on that to set lap records, but it's just an increased level of safety. They just sit there in the background, you don't have to do anything. So the last time I rode a Moto Guzzi V7 was the first time I ever rode a Moto Guzzi, and it was the V7 Stone, about 3 years ago now. I can link to that video up here somewhere. And since it was my first Guzzi, I've got to admit, I didn't get it straight away. Didn't really appreciate its charms fully on the first ride. I was starting to get there towards the end of the ride, but it's basically having slept on it after the ride and seeing the comments coming in from owners and experienced Guzzi riders, I started to realise that I was kind of riding the bike in the wrong way, coming at it from the wrong angle. It's not a Japanese bike. This is a traditional machine with traditional virtues, and therefore, frankly, it needs to be ridden a little bit differently to modern machinery. So for 2025, this bike's had a few updates in the engine, mainly to make it Euro 5 Plus compliant. Managed to get a couple of extra BHPs out of the engine and a couple of extra foot-pounds of torque. I think we're up to 66 BHP now at 6,900 RPM. And if I remember rightly, a couple of extra foot-pounds up to 58 foot-pounds at 4,400 RPM. Now, I can't quite remember the percentage, but I think I saw some documentation to say that maximum torque, or 95% of maximum torque, is available from 3,500 RPM. So the grunt is available at reasonably low revs, which is what you want from a machine like this. So while we're here on this lovely average speed checked piece of road, we'll just have a look at the dashboard. LCD display, as you can see. You might prefer, you know, a traditional dial, but I like seeing the information that it's got, so it's all kind of personal preference. Very nice to have a gear indicator there. We got various trip meters. Oh, it's telling me how far I've travelled actually since the reserve light came on, which is nice to have. I'll press this mode button on the left switch gear here. Today's time, actually I think that's an hour fast. Fuel consumption, 47 miles per gallon, not bad. Instant fuel consumption as well. Riding mode, we got rain, road and sport riding modes. I'm just in the road mode or strada mode. Got to tell you as well, here in strada mode, just navigating that roundabout there, the transition from off throttle to on throttle was very smooth. Maybe you can hear that, sounds really nice at standstill. It also pops and burbles a bit on the overrun when you come off the throttle. Fully engineered in, no doubt, but nice to hear. And the low seat height makes it really easy to get your feet on the ground. And the bike does feel somewhat lighter than its stated 220 kilograms wet weight. Feels very easy to move between your legs. All that low down weight is quite flickable. And it is quite a low slung bike, a low, relatively long bike. And despite the cavernous 21 litre fuel tank, yeah, it really doesn't feel excessively heavy. One thing I'm noticing here is the clutch bite point is quite early, and with that comes the potential to stall the bike. I've done it once, I suspect I might do it again. So, urban settings, unwillingly so. Don't know why I decided to come this way. But throttle response is good in strada mode. Punch is good if you need to accelerate quickly, get yourself out of trouble. And it's not too quiet, sounds good as well. Nice audible clicks when you're changing gear. Don't get that on too many modern bikes nowadays. Clonk. Barely feel it, but you can hear it when the gear changes. So, while I'm here at the legal speed limit for this road, which has been reduced from 60 to 50 for no reason I can discern, put it into 6th gear, rolling along at just under 3,000 RPM. Bike's feeling very relaxed. It's just about ready to accelerate in 6th, but I think it would be happier in 5th. 4th gear. Yeah, I think once you're above about 3,500 RPM heading towards 4, that's when the engine starts to perform really nice. Below that, it's pleasant, but not too sporting. Above that, pulls pretty darn hard for 850cc air-cooled V-twin. I do like the way the bike goes up and down the gearbox, and what I mean by that is that does feel relatively modern. Maybe this bike has a slipper clutch. When I go down the box, there's no sudden drag on the back wheel. There's not an excess of engine braking. Yeah, spunky little engine this. It's got quite a lot of go. Feet, as I'm about to hopefully show you, fully flat with a bent leg, flat on the ground, 32-inch inside leg for me. So yeah, very easy to flat foot it. It gives you a lot more confidence when, oh, stalled again, told you I would. A lot more confidence when manoeuvring the bike at slow speeds. Nice honk from the airbox when you want some acceleration. So on the V7 Stone, yeah, when I was throwing that around the back roads, it did get quite unsettled by mid-corner bumps. And if the name of this bike is to be believed, maybe the suspension on this bike is even firmer. But currently, it's feeling nice and composed. Firm, does feel quite firm, no doubt about that. Yeah, you can feel when you are hitting kind of little bumps as you go along the road, it's not the suspension really suspending. You feel the bike kind of the whole thing kind of moving up and down. Now that might be kind of driven from the rear shocks, possibly. Perhaps I could loosen the preload a little bit there, get them working a bit more. I'll check the preload later, see where that's at. But basically, shame there's a van in the way, but this is the kind of thing that this bike's made for. Rolling along the back lanes, sun's out, temperature's nice, bike feels pretty darn pleasurable. One thing I would adjust if I had the opportunity and the time and the tools, and if it's possible that is I'd like to adjust the gear lever down a little bit. Yeah, it just feels a little bit high, and when I want to change down the gear, I have to kind of lift my foot up a little bit and bring the front of my foot across and bring it down on the lever to change down. But different people have different feet, so it might not bother you. Hey, you might be coming from a Harley or something. You might have an entirely different riding position to contend with, in which case this might not matter to you at all. Talking of things I need, do I have a hazard warning light anywhere? I guess I must have somewhere. I was just thinking, I just rode past a wheelie bin on the road, must have got blown over. And if there was someone behind me, I'd like to flash the hazards briefly to warn them, but I can't see any hazards. Got a horn? Well, barely, actually. That was pretty weak. You'd love a big Italian V-twin to have a couple of air horns on the front. But no, we get this. Really? I think that'll be one of the first things I change. Oh, another thing that this V7 Sport has got that the other V7 models haven't got is an extra front disc, as well as the hulking great radial Brembos. We got a second front disc. So when I get the opportunity shortly, I'll jam on the front brakes and see what's going on. So onto the controls down here. Run and stop switch and ride modes on the right hand switch gear. Left switch gear, kind of a trip button, cycle for the various trip options. Running light and low beam. High beam switch on the far end of the switch gear. Indicators and that rather pathetic horn or beeper. So not a lot of technology to your hands, although it has got Bluetooth. So if you have the phone app, might be called the MIA app, might be wrong. But if your bike's connected to the phone, then I guess there'll be a way of answering calls. I can't imagine how. I guess with either the mode button here or the ride mode button on the right hand side. But don't quote me on that, because I could be totally wrong. Does it feel ballistically fast? No, not at all. Does it feel strong? Yes, it does. It does belie its 66 horsepower rating on paper. There's a good amount of torque for overtaking. It's still a pretty big engine after all. And what's quite nice is, even in this quite high speed for a naked bike, you twist the throttle, you hear it immediately, you hear it through the airbox. Whoa. I don't think it'd be possible to drown out that sound, which is very nice to hear. So I spent a bit of time at higher speeds back there, and yeah, even though there's the word sport in the name, it doesn't like to be hurried. You try and treat it like a modern sports bike and it will show its displeasure. Not many bikes nowadays that kind of shake, rattle and roll while you're riding them. So if that's what you're looking for, this bike has got it in spades. It's got the character for you, sir or madam. You know, there's a good chance that Moto Guzzi could design the character right out of this bike if they so choose to, with the might and the backing of the Piaggio group. But they know what their customer wants, and this is that. The sport model ups the aesthetics with the forks and the big brakes, but it's still a Guzzi. Now this road is very bouncy. Next 3 or 4 miles, so I'm not going to push my luck around here. I'll just go at smile-inducing speeds rather than gritted teeth speeds. I'm really impressed that there's a kind of not that much kind of engine braking or rear wheel braking when you go down the gears. I was expecting more of a pullback, more retardation when you go down the gearbox, in kind of an old school shaft drive styly. The kind of reverse torque that locks the back up in the rain. What we got on the front brake? Oh, pretty strong set of brakes there. Yeah, they're strong, accompanied with a reasonable amount of fork dive, but they're going to haul you up with a lot of confidence, I think. I do believe we've got a Brembo radial master cylinder in addition to the calipers, so good gear in terms of the front brakes. Here we are. Unfortunately, my shadow's going to get in the way as I walk around, possibly. Oh no, I'm kind of on the road. I've got to watch out in case I get run over. That's a striking colour scheme. I just parked on this bit of grass facing the other way. I saw the sun out. I thought, no, I've got to turn it around this way. So the bike's leaning into the sun on the side stand. That colour looks pretty spectacular in the sun, doesn't it? Now, here's the things that kind of part differentiate this bike from the other V7 machines. New wheels. They reduce the unsprung weight. What's going on down there? I've got some sort of label on the wheel. What's that? Oh yeah, it's definitely stuck to the wheel. Interesting. So I think these wheels are 1.8 kilos less. I'm not sure if that's each or as a pair, but less unsprung weight. Oh, right angled valve stems. Very nice. Thank you, Moto Guzzi. And there's your brakes. Radial mount. Good old Brembos. Braided hoses. And the junction is kind of split at the fork level. So it's not kind of going to one caliper and then going over the fork leg to the other. So that might aid in the performance of the brakes, which I find to be pretty impressive so far. The back end, I think, aside from the rear wheel, is similar to the other V7 models. I think the weight here is in the middle of the range. I think the V7 Stone, maybe 217 kilos, says 220. And I think there's a V7 Special. It's about 223 kilos wet. The weight feels pretty low down. Mind you, I've not filled the tank up yet. So maybe with a full tank, it might feel a little different. But if I back off a little bit, it's a low bike. It is quite a small machine. Bikes have grown over the last 10 years or so, haven't they? If you look at things like the Tracer 9 and my own S1000 XRs, even kind of road bikes, road style bikes are getting larger and larger. Well, basically, this trend never changed. The trends have grown around it. One thing I'm enjoying very much is the seat. That's a good amount of space to move back and forth on. And the material is also very nice. Not sure what it is. It kind of looks like suede on the top, but it doesn't feel like suede. It's got a bit of a mottled effect to the seat fabric, a little dotted effect. Pretty comfortable, soft and comfortable, not firm at all. Certainly a style that harks back to the 1970s and 80s. And that's not doing this bike any harm at all. What adjustment we got on the shock? So, yeah, rear preload only. Looks like there's 2 notches to the left to fully soft. And 1, 2, 3. Oh, actually, yeah. 1, 2. Yeah, there's 2 notches left to go harder. Oh, KYB shocks, I just saw that there. Not sure what's at the front, and I don't think it'll tell me anywhere. I suspect if the back's KYB, so's the front. But there's your individual preload adjusters. There's the classic Moto Guzzi logo, as you might be very well used to if you're a Guzzi fan. Flickering a little bit with the camera. That's your low beam, I guess, with some extra riding lights, I guess. And whoa, I just looked straight into that light, and I regretted it. Serious lighting. Looks really impressive in daylight. I hope it's as good at night. Ooh, nice backlighting on the LED display there. Just went under some shadows, as you're about to see. I'll slow down for that, actually. Don't know if the GoPro will pick it up. Yeah, just nice subtle backlighting. Seems pretty even, as far as I can tell. I could be wrong. So far, after a couple of hours of riding, finding the riding position, the traditional and very agreeable. Yeah, quite a bit of space to move around on the seat. And it's nice to be able to wedge yourself against the little rise between the rider and passenger seat, so you can sit back a bit, lean into the wind, and your backside is supported from going any further back. It's really nice, that. It's really quite pleasant to feel the power pulses of the engine, even at 2,500 RPM in 5th gear, without asking too much from the throttle. Just feel the engine just thudding away quietly in the background. I think there's a lot of people out there who like that sort of thing. The mirrors have been basically excellent, by the way. These big bar end mounted things. You see, a little tricky to adjust. I tried to adjust the left one and it kind of just spanned the mirror on the bar end rather than move the mirror around a knuckle at the top. But they're clear and they don't vibrate much. There's hardly any elbow in the mirrors, so pretty impressive setup there. And then you get this bike to a standstill. Just feel it wobble. Nice. Front brake is span adjustable. As I mentioned, the clutch lever is not. No, I don't think I actually mentioned that specifically, but it's not. Quality looks decent. Wouldn't be in a rush to replace them straight away. Throttle's not too heavy. Nothing like Gutzis of the olden days, if the stories are to be believed, with heavy throttles and stiff clutches. Much more user friendly nowadays. Shall we start summing things up on this bike? Pros and cons. Pros first. The powertrain, the character of the engine, I'm very impressed with. I like it a lot, and I mentioned that I've ridden the V7 Stone and didn't quite appreciate it for what it was at the time. I'm glad that I've had a second chance now on this V7 Sport, and the engine can't be ignored. Whether you're accelerating, having the airbox groan and having the engine thud away between your legs, whether you're off the throttle and hearing it burble, it's always with you, and that's part of its charm, I think. Ergonomics are good. I got no complaints with the ergonomics either. Nice comfortable seat, no hint of discomfort, even after, must be 2.5 hours now, almost constant riding. Good job on the saddle there, I think. Loving the brakes, front brakes especially. Rear brakes okay, slows you down with a strong enough prod. Nothing to write home about, but when you want to slow down fast, the front brakes are there for you. The look of the bike, well, again, subjective. But yeah, I'm a fan of the style, and when I first saw this bike in Frasers showroom, I wasn't a fan of the colour, but with the sun shining today, I've been rather lucky, and this colour scheme is pretty darn striking. I like it a lot. Oh, nearly stalled it. So that kind of brings me on to the cons. It can catch you out with the odd stall. Now I think I just need to adjust the clutch, really. It's not too bad, just the biting point's a bit early. If you haven't got a few revs on, you can stall the bike. Other cons, well, there's not much else that I don't like about the bike, really. I like most things. But the rear shock, for me, the rear shocks, feels too firm at pretty much any speed. Now, it's a Guzzi. I think stiff rear suspension is kind of par for the course with these bikes. And it's pretty much always been the case, especially for the sportier machines. So if you go into this with your eyes wide open, you won't be disappointed. And of course, this is just one man's opinions. Maybe you won't have any issues with the rear suspension at all. So it is all very subjective. And I'm not a pro. I won't pretend I'm an expert reviewer. I'm certainly not a journalist. And aside from that, I don't really feel any more obvious downsides. If you're in the market for a traditionally styled middleweight roadster, there's not that many authentic choices out there. And this is probably the most authentic of the bunch. And for those who say, oh, they don't make motorbikes like they used to, well, they do. Here it is. They make it just like they used to, but with modern conveniences and safety systems, which I think you do need in this day and age. So in summary then, it's a quirky little machine, but what I do like about it, it's a little machine. It's a nice compact middleweight roadster with a decent turn of speed, good torque, sounds great, feels great. Overall, I spent something like 3 hours on this bike now, and I'm not tired of it. I could do another 3 hours. It's really a nice thing to ride. So this very machine is available at Frasers of Gloucester if you want a test ride of your own, along with other Moto Guzzis, Royal Enfields, Aprilias, Suzukis. If any of those float your boat, get in touch with the guys at Frasers. I'm nearly home, so I think I'll sign off now. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy my content. So hopefully I'll see you down in the comments. Hoping to see some Moto Guzzi fans down there. I'll see you in the next video. So take care of yourselves. Ta-da! I was just about to comment. I haven't heard the fan kick in once. If you know, you know. Anyway, I'm nearly home.